Hello, my name is Tyus DeBoard, and I'm an 18-year-old gamer chud who just really likes talking about video games. I've taken a couple of classes on creative writing and storytelling, and I love to write. I am very fascinated by the storytelling in video games, so much so that I did a whole 20-minute presentation on the story of Alan Wake for my creative writing class. And I'd love to make my own game someday, but as of right now, I don't know how to code. So I thought to satisfy that fascination, I'd talk about all the different games I love. In this video, I'm going to talk about my playthroughs of Pocket Mirror and its prequel, Goody Two Shoes, as well as their connection and story. I have always been fascinated with the different interpretations of Alice in Wonderland. This story is similar to that one, but also different in the way that this is a horror game, also inspired by Silent Hill. Silent Hill 2 is one of my favorite games of all time, where he plays a man named James Sunderland who gets a letter from his wife, who died 3 years ago, to search for her in the town of Silent Hill. All of the horrors in that game are a reflection and symbolism of James's mind that the town feeds off of. I think it's such a good game, and that anyone that likes a good story and is a fan of horror should play it. I'll also probably talk about that in a different video. Anyways, let's start from the beginning so you can understand these similarities. But before I want to dive into the story of Pocket Mirror, I want to talk about its prequel, Goody Two Shoes, because in my opinion, Pocket Mirror is the most peak out of the two games, so I'm going to save the best for last. The two games are connected, just not in the way you would expect. An old woman was walking through a forest when she stumbled upon a basket on the ground with a baby girl inside, whom she named Elise. This old woman raises Elise. When she dies, she gives her a green brooch, which will be Elise's keepsake throughout the story. Flash forward to after her grandma dies. Elise returns home after a long day to find her house has been rummaged through. Wanting to find out what happened, she goes out to the shack behind her house to find a poor traveling woman named Rosemarine. Elise confronts her by smacking her on the head with a broom and makes her clean the whole house. Rosemarine doesn't mind this at all and actually ends up living with Elise. We find out that Elise is a girl who thinks she deserves all the riches in the world and shouldn't be living in the town where she is. She hates how the people treat her, and her greatest dream is to live luxuriously in a far-off castle. Onto the mechanics that you have to deal with throughout the day. We have your suspicion meter, which goes up if you don't feed this little shit Muffy some bread, because if you don't feed her bread, she'll tell on you for possibly being a witch or whatever the fuck she lies about to the townsfolk. Also, if you answer the villagers' questions wrong or don't get your story straight, it will also raise. If the meter goes up too far, you get tried for witchcraft. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention that this is low-key a Yuri game, and you can go on dates with a few different girls of your choosing, which will also bring your suspicion down. On top of that, you have a hunger and sanity bar. To buy food and sedatives for that, you have a variety of different little minigame jobs you can do that pull up a very cool arcade machine cabinet. Those minigames include egg collecting, wood chopping, apple catching, and my personal favorite, Kiss the Rat, where you smack a rat around with a couple of kids and try to make them kiss it. But be careful, because you might be the one kissing it. Back to the spooky story at hand, Elise goes to Sunday Mass and finds a note on the ground in the church that has a prayer on it telling you to go to the crossroads. If you go there, you could find a little cave with a preacher's clothes in it, with another poem talking about the windmill that once was. Then suddenly, the cave starts to collapse in, and you're chased out by a hideous creature. Later that night, Elise goes to sleep and has a spooky dream during the witching hour, which exposes her deepest desire for fortune. After a while of playing the game, Elise starts making her backyard look nice and digging around when she stumbles upon two red tiny shoes, which then causes her to run through the town singing about all the riches she dreams of, making the people wonder if she's insane. They also did it with a cool animation and song, which I thought was pretty cool. I love how this game is drawn in an old anime style, kind of like Sailor Moon almost. Later that day, a witch will also visit you and tell you to collect 3 items to get her wish granted by someone they just called him. These items include the tender flesh, the sweetest nectar, and good company. We will figure out what these are as the story progresses, and we will come to know these as a sacrifice, a desire, and a human cost. The tender flesh isn't just meat. It represents the body, something physical, something that can be used or consumed. The sweetest nectar represents life itself, something tied to vitality, danger, and survival. And good company is the most disturbing of all, because it requires you to build a genuine connection with another person, only for that connection to potentially be used as part of the ritual. What's important here is that the game never outright tells you, hey, you are preparing a human sacrifice. Instead, it disguises all of this as normal gameplay. You're still working your jobs, managing your hunger, going on dates, and trying not to get accused of witchcraft. And that's where little Goody Two Shoes becomes really unsettling, because everything you're doing feels like routine. You're optimizing your time, you're making money, you're building relationships, you're progressing, but at the same time, you are also slowly gathering everything needed to perform something horrific, and the game never stops you. It never questions you, it just lets you continue. To get the tender flesh, you have to try and win over the key to the windmill to make a special type of bread. The crows had already been stealing the grain from it, which caused the villagers to freak out. They entrust the key to a man named Eugene. Thankfully, a boy named Apfel goes missing to the woods. So Elise volunteers to get him back. You find him in the hollow opening of a tree next to a ghostly version of whichever girl you want to romance. Crows mock you and ask, "Is this whom your heart desires?" You take him out of the tree after that, only to find that your movements are interlinked with his and his vision is impaired. The most frustrating part about this sequence is where you have to run and step on pedestals to make him avoid falling into the abyss while avoiding enemies in your path. I still do not know how to dodge the tree birds. Once you get him out of the woods, townsfolk celebrate and entrust the windmill key to you. Once you enter the windmill, it forces you to play a minigame about bread making. If you fail too many times, they kill you, so you'd better make sure you save ahead of time because there is no auto-saving. Once that's all done and over with, then Elise gets the tender flesh. Following that, she gets the same dream exposing her desire for fortune and talking about a banquet with him. Elise wakes up from the strange dream she had and heads outside to find a talking snake like that one guy from the Bible who is definitely not a demon. Anyways, the snake talks about "this mark means you are destined to have a meeting with me," and then he bites her, putting a mark on her neck. On my playthrough, I did Le Kuchen as my romantic interest. So on that note, Elise goes into the church to talk to her and finds a crowd of the townsfolk surrounding her, asking her to bless all of them because she's a nun or something, and then she just fucking passes out on the floor. Elise returns home after a long day of work to have supper and then go out into the forest to meet with the serpent. When going through the woods, we stumble upon a golden maiden who tells us how foolish she was to think he would grant her all her heart desires because she couldn't take that one last step. Elise asks what that step could be. The woman replies, "You will know in due time." Also, there's some hinting going on that we could actually be a gift to him, or whatever that means. Now I have to go and get 2 serpent keys to open a door and meet with the serpent. Elise finds the first key in a pot, and for the second one, I was so confused about what to do at first because you have to aimlessly walk around this abyss in search of statues to solve riddles, so you can find the other half of the spirit and guide it back to the other one. After that, you get the key. It was a little mind-boggling, but I managed to do it. Once we finished all that, it was finally time to meet the serpent. Once I opened the door, Elise was unable to move, being held against her will by false visions of her love interests, giving you the Needle Testament. I thought they did a really good job with the animation on this scene because it was quite unsettling. And once again, I really like the old anime Sailor Moon style. And now we can finally prepare the gift. By the time you start to realize what these offerings actually mean, you've likely already fulfilled most of them, and that's what makes Elise's story so interesting. She isn't some mustache-twirling villain who sets out to do evil things. She's desperate, she's tired of being poor, tired of being misjudged, and tired of having no control over her life. And because of that, she becomes the perfect target for manipulation. The witch doesn't force Elise to do anything, she simply reframes the situation to make it feel justified. Like, this is just the price you have to pay to live the life you deserve finally. And as the player, you go along with it, not because you're evil, but because the game has conditioned you to think this is just how you progress. Little Goody Two Shoes isn't about making a deal with a demon. It's about how easy it is to convince someone to make one. And more importantly, it's about how easy it is for us, the players, to participate in it without even questioning it. The next day, Elise and Rosa Marine go back to the village to find out that there will be a meeting with everyone in the town at the church, where they start to accuse Elise, Rosa Marine, and Lebkuchen of being witches, when Freya steps in and saves the day. Later that night, Elise gets swept away in a thunderstorm to meet with a strange entity that tells her she is a witch now. Then a hand pulls her underwater into a twisted version of the town square she knows. This place is called the Serpent Steps. Then, Elise decides to follow the strange sound of Lebkuchen's screams into the abyss. Once we do some puzzles and die a few times, we get the key we need to enter the church, only to find Lebkuchen tied up inside it. Elise begs the serpent to let her go, but he has other plans. He questions her if she really wants her desires that badly. You then get put in a boss fight where you have to dodge attacks and then answer questions to see how much you really care about her. If you answer the questions as if you care, you die, but if you don't care and be the evil witch that you are, then the serpent will give you the vessel testament for the so-called sweetest nectar. This is where the true horror of the game starts to kick in. You get to see how evil Elise truly is. To give up the person she loves for riches. After the boss fight, she gets plopped back out to the village's festival. They talk about gathering back there first thing at sunrise for the procession. Supposedly, Elise had been at the festival the entire time she was in the Serpent Steps. We talk to Rosa Marine, and we get the idea to combine the needle with the vessel testament and the church's holy water to prepare the gift of wine for him. Once we create the sweetest nectar, the serpent comes to tell her that he wants her blood, and makes us play a twisted version of the apple minigame, where needles fall from the sky, and we have to try and collect the droplets of liquid we need without dying. Now that we have the sweetest nectar, we're still missing the good company. Elise wakes up and goes down to the town festival, where we straight up lie to Lebkuchen about not betraying her trust and get on with the day. Elise and Leb start walking down into the woods. On the way, they have an argument about Lebkuchen's nun outfit and how she wouldn't know what to wear otherwise. Elise knows how she doesn't like being a nun deep down, so she argues with her about things like this. Once in the woods, Leb's eyes go dark and strange. We enter this strange temple where we can put the tender flesh and the sweetest nectar and something representing the good company on pedestals. When that's all done, Lebkuchen disappears and Elise falls into a giant womb where we meet up with the witch from before. She explained how she tried endlessly to conceive life, just like he did that day, to conceive Elise. Elise was a creation of the devil himself. The place that they're standing in is the womb that Elise was conceived in, all for the sake of the old woman that raised Elise's wish, to have a child. The witch then stabs Elise, and she says she will embody her vessel so she can bear children once again, due to the demon using her to conceive Elise. And so she does. And with that, that's the first ending I got in Little Goody Two Shoes. There's 10 in total, and I got one of the bad endings. The true ending is where you instead sacrifice Rosa Marine and promise to sacrifice Elise's second-born child to get all the riches Elise desires. Elise will regret that decision for the rest of her life. She was forced to watch the demon devour the one she loved. I highly recommend you play this game for yourself, because it's very good, and I had fun playing it. Little Goody Two Shoes isn't just a story about making a deal, it's about becoming the kind of person who would. And once that line is crossed, once identity, desire, and morality start to break down, you don't just walk away from it, you carry it with you. Which is where Pocket Mirror comes in. Because if Little Goody Two Shoes is about becoming something monstrous, then Pocket Mirror is about what's left after. You play as a little girl, and you wake up in a mysterious room, unaware of who or where you are. All you remember is your mother's voice telling you to never let go of the pocket mirror you find next to you when you wake up. In the room next door, there's a marble puzzle you need to solve to get out. Once we make it out, we stumble upon a library and a book at the top of the stairs labeled Little Goody Two Shoes that reads, "I once lived in a village when I was young. My youth was spent in hard labor and cold, sleepless nights. I often dreamt about a better future, one that could fill my stomach with luxurious sweets and thick, expensive steaks. One day, I heard an old woman talking about a strange rumor. She said that a certain someone had been granting wishes in the woods to anyone who dared summon a certain name, someone who wasn't quite human. So, this game might have something to do with Little Goody Two Shoes, methinks." Afterwards, we follow a creepy-looking doll and get dragged through a mirror to a manor-like place with cute little talking pumpkins who are very polite. Even though there are polite pumpkins, we encounter some very creepy messaging and have to pull a girl's eyes out of a painting. After a while of enduring horrors and wandering around, we meet this other little girl who wants to play games with us and whose name is Fleta. Fleta is always angry and bratty. She's always on a high horse, but being the super nice main character that we are, we accept her offer to go play games back at her manor. On the way, we get lost in a maze, but eventually make it. The first game she makes us play is something about catching as many butterflies as you can. Fleta only managed to collect 8, while we managed to get 10. Fleta does not like this and throws a bit of a fit. Then she challenges us to hide and seek. We find her in the first round, and the next round gets really scary because if we get found, we are not living. Luckily, we find a room with a note in it from a mother on her deathbed, talking about how her sins will now be our burden. I wonder who that could be. Just after that, a scary-looking Fleta walks through the door and throws us in the attic with a bunch of creepy dolls. Once we escape, we find her outside, planning on playing spooky, scary musical chairs with us. But we want to talk to her, because we want to know if she has any answers about who we are. You see, Fleta represents the spoiled, carefree version of ourselves, and we must remember her to put her to rest. She will tell us everything if we can win musical chairs, but if we lose, we get to stay with her forever and ever. After we win musical chairs and argue a bit, we're finally able to remember that part of us and move on. From doing so, we acquire Fleta's regalia. Then we wake up in another strange place, and we're chased in a hallway full of mirrors by a terrifying woman. Our protagonist gets cornered and then wakes up again at the feet of a girl named Harpe, the maiden of pristine eyes. She invites us in for some tea, and is a very nice and helpful person. We try to ask her if she has any answers to our situation, but she doesn't have any. Although Harpe doesn't have any answers, she is able to cheer us up. She also gives us a cardigan to keep us warm, which is rather strange because it means she was expecting us. Harpe leaves to go make more tea for us and asks us to wait for her. If you wait for her, you fall asleep, and you get a game over. The reason for this is that Harpe represents the need the main character has to be nurtured and cared for as the child she is. If we give in to that and stop thinking for ourselves too much, then that's giving up. To keep moving forward, we can't wait for Harpe to come back, so we decide to do a bit of exploring and find a library littered with tidbits about our family and past. We learn that we have a twin brother and about our father, who tried his hardest to stop us from being in the situation we're in. But why are we in this situation? We also find a record that says the following: "Oh, Elise, 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 you really did think you could fool me, didn't you? Worry not, my dear Elise, for I, your faithful patron, shall collect the deed in due time. You wouldn't want our lovely golden agreement to be all for naught now, would you? I think if you viewers use your noggin here, you could connect the dots based on what I've told you. But if you're stupid, you don't get to know yet. Anyways, we are finally reunited with Harpe and have another chat with her. She asks us where we've been all this time, and we're given the option to lie or tell the truth. Lying would be considered thinking for ourselves, therefore it would have a good outcome. But telling the truth would be falling into the trap of being coddled forever. Harpe asks us if we'd like to follow her up into the attic so she can fix our cardigan. If we do so, we get the bad ending called blindness. Harpe leaves again after we don't follow her, and we do some more exploring. We stumble upon a mirror that shows us an inverted version of ourselves inside, named Angel. She tells us our name is Angel. She also tells us it was her role to find us, and now it's our role to complete her. Then Harpe interrupts us and gets angry at us for wandering off by ourselves again. We explain what happened, and she tells us our name is not Angel. For some reason, she knows that's not our name, but she can't tell us anything else. Then this goofy-ass bitch tells us to come with her and disappears, leaving us to wander around a mansion of ghost people looking for her. Once we solve a ghost murder mystery, which took me forever, we finally reunite with Harpe again. She tells us she isn't feeling alright. We then walk with Harpe through this room of junk and go up an elevator. The elevator then suddenly drops, and the two of us try to fix the elevator when the conversation suddenly switches to how we're gonna stay here forever, or some shit. And Harpe goes scary Larry on us, so we run away. And then Harpe's like, "Nuh-uh, you're coming with me, miss." What the fuck was that? Harpe abandons us again, so we gotta go exploring. And then she comes back again and gets mad at us for wanting to leave and gives us a bitch slap. Then this happens. After that, we meet up with this creepy demon boy who shows us this. We go back up the elevator to find Harpe resting in her bed. And with that, we can put another part of ourselves to rest, giving us Harpe's regalia. We then make our way down into a place called Nightmare and follow a creepy doll into a place resembling a circus. The protagonist knows now that she must meet the girl who was chasing us in the mirror hallway, Lisette, the sleeping maiden of horrors, and put her to rest. She's a doll-like entity who represents our inability to control ourselves, alongside negative thoughts and feelings. We decide to help out a pumpkin that can't speak because its face isn't carved in. After we help him, he agrees to help us find our way to Lisette. He talks about how terrifying she is along the way to give her more aura, of course. Later, we find Lisette facing a back wall, banging on something, saying, "I'm not the one. I'm not the one. I'm not the one. I'm not the one. I'm not the one." Then she turns around and starts to chase us away with the most banger chase music. Next, we end up in a place called the Oubliette, where we could find more tidbits about who we used to be and the outbursts we started to have before our mother passed away. I couldn't recognize my own daughter. She had never shown this kind of behavior before. After a bit, we wake up in a dining room chair with the longest table ever in front of us, and also Lisette at the end of it. She tells us, "This time for sure, I will finally take your head." She asks us for our pocket mirror and wants us to shatter like Fleta and Harpe, which is an offer we refuse, of course. Angel tries to come in and save the day and argues with Lisette, explaining that this whole situation is her fault. But the mirror she was in ends up shattered. Lisette then starts walking down the table. She asks us how we know her name. When we say that Harpe told us, she cuts us free and disappears. The next location we visit is the Abyss. On our way down, creepy-looking giant faces stare at us. At the bottom of the Abyss, the main character starts crying, upset that she has to be in this situation, as a child would be. Suddenly, little notes start floating towards her, from Fleta and Harpe, giving her motivation to keep going. We then get a sequence with Lisette, showing us that she's part of us. After doing some puzzles, meeting with the demon boy again, who makes fun of us for not getting any smarter, also showing us this. and accepting Lisette stabbing us, representing how we accept this part of us and remember the way we were. When she stabs us, we get vivid imagery of our mother, Elise, and how she made a deal with the demon boy trapping us in this situation. And with that, and running away from her more so she doesn't kill us, she gives up, and we can finally put Lisette to rest. This is one of the most beautiful parts of the game, so I'm just going to let it play out for you guys. I'm here, Lisette. I finally found you. You know my name. Although I can't hear it, I can tell. Lisette, I just wanted to tell you I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Lisette, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Lisette. I'm so sorry I did this to you. Please forgive me. I will atone for my sins in your stead, all of them. I wish I could have gotten to know you. Me too. Lisette, before you go, I want to tell you that I love you. I love you just as much as Harpe and Fleta. I should let you rest. Thank you, Lisette, for everything you've done for me. I won't forget you. The reason this is one of the most beautiful parts in this game is that it shows how the main character is truly starting to love herself. Afterwards, we get Lisette's regalia. Onto the final stretch, we meet up with Angel for the first time after being separated by a mirror in a place called Elysian.
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 Elysian. Elysian means a place or state of perfect happiness, bliss, or delight. This place is like a heavenly labyrinth. Angel is a final test that the demon boy created for us to pass. We learn that our motives are to take our pocket mirror so she can become a real girl, or at least, that's what the demon boy told her. We tell Angel that we want to accept her because we now know that this is how we are going to escape this place. We know that she isn't truly a part of us, but we still want to accept her because the main character doesn't want to be enemies. When we admit this to Angel, we get a glowing crown and veil above our head, representing how we've reached a breaking point and the culmination of her dramatic journey. Then, as a last hurrah, Angel and the main character race up a set of stairs, trying to reach the pocket mirror first. If Angel reaches it first, we get the Dawn ending, where we wake up in the real world at age 20. If we reach it first, we get the ending called Little Goody Two Shoes, where we reset time, making it so Elise never made the deal with the demon boy in the first place, and learn that our name the entire time was Goldia. This place Goldia was in was a reflection of herself, but I'm sure you guys understood that. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, considering that you stayed until the end. I love this game series, and I hope you guys got intrigued enough to go support the developers and play the games for yourselves. Goodbye.